Good morning again, Ralph E. Hartman, out here on the Geneva roadside near Captiva Garden again. Hope everyone's having a good day. I think I mentioned to you before that I don't really get much of any, actually mostly pertaining to writing to any officials. I don't usually get any kind of reply officially, verbally, but I do experience a lot of feedback otherwise. And after the previous message, within just a couple of minutes, what has been through years about the most predominant argument put to me pertaining to persons allegedly of officials in CHURCH is accusing that I did something, to try to use it as a justifier, accusing that I did something nasty with a man in my past. But I'm saying, and continue to maintain, no matter how much arguing they continue to put at me through every night when I'm trying to rest, is that no, I did. The most predominant, what they just said a few minutes ago was from traffic sound again, going back to when I was an 11-year-old, accusing me of doing something with a neighbor boy. But I'm saying that I refused, and that I didn't even know anything about doing anything with myself. I didn't even learn about playing with myself until years after. If I had done anything for the neighbor boy, I'd have wanted to do it for myself, but I did. So anyway, that said, the next accusation that they use that is predominant is accusing that I did something nasty with a man in the Everglades back in October of 1973 during a fraternity meeting. But the only truth about that is, no, I didn't. I had assumed everyone else was normal also. What did happen, it turned out to be that there was something very malicious about what was supposed to be an initiation into something friendly, that somebody smeared some semen into a substance that they were using. They were allowed to put stuff like peppers and Tabasco sauce on your face, but they weren't supposed to do anything deliberately malicious. But it turns out to be, I learned about 40 years after, that very bad infection in my right eye had been because somebody had maliciously put semen into a substance. So anyway, that infection that I went to in Dadeland, Miami, I lived in the southwest section of Miami back then. The hazing was off of Chrome Avenue in the Everglades. When the eye got infected, I went to an eye doctor near Dadeland. He didn't tell me anything except that if I had waited another day out, it might have been blinded in my right eye. So anyway, I didn't learn about that accusation until about 40 years after. 73, 83, 93, 03, about 35 years after. I didn't learn about the accusation from when I was an 11-year-old until I was in my 50s. And then there's another even more insistent about accusation of me doing something nasty with a man was in Orlando in 1981. The other accusations are more insistently pivoted on these days than at first. The most insistent accusation, kind of like documented as though there's a hidden slide or something of proof, was from Orlando, summer of 1981, accusing that there was an Orlando area clinic near Lake Underhill area, that they had determined that there was a stain from another man on the outer corner of my left eye. Well, I knew that the doctor had a bad attitude, but I had only been with myself alone at home on a sober day, encountering a very beautiful Victoria lake. So anyway, in the particular clinic, when he was gawking at my eye using an optic and some kind of ultraviolet light, when he suddenly thrust his arm out in front of a very shapely, beautiful nurse approaching and shouted at her saying, "Don't touch him," I kind of cringed quietly on the examining table, guessing that maybe he had somehow been aware of what had caused the slight infection. At the clinic in 81, there was only a very slight pinkish inflammation on the outer corner of the eye, but I was worried that it might get worse. I worked in a place where there's a lot of pretty ladies, and it's going to be kind of embarrassing to be asked about it. So when the doctor thrust his arm out in front of the lady and shouted at her, saying, "Don't touch him," I thought, oh my gosh, he knows he knows the cause of the infection. And the lady looked at me with look of compassion, actually, saying, "Why she didn't say it, but she looked at me like, why shouldn't I touch him?" And then the doctor calmed himself and gave me a prescription for tetracycline. So anyway, the abuse family, most particularly probably William B. Love, the stepfather, used the opportunity of the clinic to spread a vicious, virulent accusation of me doing something nasty with a different man instead. And I wasn't being nasty. Well, I was just appreciating the pretty lady photos. Partly embarrassment. It's about something. But the rumors went around for years without even me even knowing what was happening. You know, people can spread rumors without being any embarrassment to each other about it. But trying to talk to somebody in particular that you don't know about something that's personal is difficult. So they basically destroyed me, partly killed me, ended my life, and you know, like I say, they continue with it. Bill Love was involved in various different ways, politically. He ended up getting himself made a deacon in a Baptist church over in Bradenton, Palmasola, and through the years that they drastically pivoted on there being an absolute proven evidence of me doing something with a man that you know, they just still insist about. But the only fact is that 1981 I was alone with myself. I didn't drastically change. I didn't go back and, you know, start becoming somebody mean and deliberately reclusive against the women. That I was actually continuing to be normal and care instead. In 1973, it was a malicious hazing. I thought that the infection had been from swamp water, but it turned out to be rumored many years later that somebody had deliberately put a semen stain into my eye during the hazing. When I was a little boy, 11-year-old, sitting at home alone, working on a classic model kit of the USS Constitution, when the neighbor boy walked in and suddenly made a demand, I first thought was kind of funny. Why was my friends wanting to suddenly act so strange? That I immediately refused. And I learned immediately there isn't any way that I'd ever want to touch it. You know, there isn't any way that I'd put anything of a man in my mouth, and I proceeded to grow up normally. So with those thoughts in mind, a slight bit of embarrassment needing to be said, that I hope people get better informed about the smear campaigns that have been used to cripple me through so many years, and have a good day.